the course content, let me quickly introduce myself. My name is Amit Gupta, and I'm having around 7 years of experience in core performance testing and engineering portion. And performance testing is the core profile that I have worked from very beginning. And again, I'm working as a part-time instructor, providing training for this JMeter and performance testing. All right, so this was about me, and let's move to the course content. Yeah, do I have any question? If no, please mute yourself. Thank you. Okay, so being a demo session, I would encourage all of you to just have your questions, any kind of question that you have in your mind. Though I will try to cover all of the related questions that actually basic kind of questions that you should be having. But again, do have your questions, and we will try to make this session more interactive. All right, so about this course, that how this course is actually going to work for the person if you are looking for the performance testing, that then how this course is going to be helpful. So this is going to be a basic to intermediate level course, and we will be adding few advanced topics in this course, but the main focus will be up to the intermediate level. Taking this course, you will be able to understand JMeter very well. You will be able to understand the concepts of performance testing and engineering very well. And we will be learning about performance testing with the tool using JMeter. And I believe you are aware that there are different tools available as well. So the focus here is to learn performance testing with the tool JMeter, right? So we will be covering the concept of performance testing and using the tool JMeter, but taking this course, you will be learning all the aspects of concepts and aspects of performance testing. So once you complete this course, you will not be just bounded to JMeter, but you will be able to understand other tools available in market, that what are the terminologies being used for those tools. And basically the terminology is like the all other tools are available in market use the same terminologies like scenarios, threads, or ramp up. So those kind of terminologies will be common to all those tools. So this is going to be help in that way as well. And obviously we are going to learn about JMeter. So we will be learning about JMeter in details, all the related concept of JMeter, different key elements we will be covering, and alongside we will be covering the performance testing concepts. So we will be going in parallel, exploring the JMeter options and features side by side with the understanding those features and options, that how those features and options are going to be implemented in terms of performance testing. All right, so we will be learning about running JMeter and running a performance test. We will be covering reporting portion. So how a performance report look like, what are the terminologies and key things we include in performance reporting, and how you actually can generate a report using the tool JMeter. Let me quickly check some questions I have, I think.
Amit.
Okay.
Nidhi here.
So just a minute, Nidhi. Just allow me a minute. Yeah, have your question, please.
So if you're talking about the performance testing, so like for example, we have a UI. So that particular UI with that URL only we used to check it, right? How many how the end user can perform, like what is the what duration for that? And if you're talking about the API testing, so in API testing also we'll do the performance or what exactly? Actually, I'm not zero in that. I'm not aware about. So just that's
Yeah,
the reason I'm
that's a good question. I encourage you. That's a good question. All right. So there are two aspects of doing performance testing on your point. So we can categorize based on UI performance and based on backend performance. So we actually in more terminologies or clear terminologies, we refer that as a front end performance and back end performance testing. So here we are going to deal with back end performance testing, not the front end or the end user experience, right? So basically we are going to hit the web application through the front end, but we are not measuring the JavaScripts and CSS related details that how our page is going to be rendered for end user, not those aspects, but we are looking at the response time of the actual processing of the server end.
okay. So front end we are not.
Is
We
it?
are going to check the back end, right? Back end testing.
Yeah. So this is going to be a more specific to backend performance, not the UI performance.
Okay, so if you are talking about the back end, like web services, whatever API we are testing, so we can check it. Okay, that particular response, whatever we are getting, that is successful. Like if we are getting 200, then that is fine. Apart from that, whatever it will be depend upon the what log level we have set. Based upon that, we will get it. But how will like measure whether like if we got 200, okay, that is success. But how the performance will come inside that? Like
Okay, I got your point. So having 200 is not just fine, because if there is a single user that hits and your application performs well for that single user, but what about the use cases, or what about the scenarios when there are hundred of users hitting that application simultaneously,
okay, so in that you like
right?
JMeter tool, we can identify how much time they have taken, like our web services has taken to access that application, right? We can observe it that with that tool.
Yes, exactly. But with a huge number of load, or you can say a workload that we have to go to generate on that application. We are talking about the load, right? We are not talking
Hmm.
about the single user 200. Okay.
Okay, so for that we will write separate script also, or like we used to get it URL, right? So with that URL curl or script we used to hit it and we used to get it the information. So for that
Yes,
in this
exactly.
like
Yeah.
so here we write the script also separately or what? With the help of script, we will perform the load testing or just with the tools only we will perform the load testing.
So basically this tool is going to help out in order to not to write those complex script, like that you were referring about the core scripting knowledge, that you should be having a programming language knowledge, a good kind of knowledge, so that you can generate multiple number of views, threads, and those cookies and cache management, those stuff. So writing those scripts will be a problematic for most of the users, and they are not the actual developer that are expert on writing those scripts. So this tool JMeter is going to help out generating load in a very easy way, and that provides a good UI. So you can create different scenarios with the different number of users by adding different um, that's taste datas, like different users login, different pages access with the different workload modeling kind of things. So this is how we are going to learn how those things can be achieved with the help of JMeter. But generating load is not the only thing. You should be also aware about the concepts of performance testing, that how your application should behave with that load, and if that's the behavior, then what should be the load, what kind of scenario you should be hitting against your application.
Okay, I mean, got it. Thanks.
Yeah. Okay. So there is another question that can we do some mobile app? So basically, we are not targeting the APK kind of application here. We are going to focus on the web applications. Okay, so as I mentioned that we are going to learn about JMeter. So we will be learning about the scripting things that basically how our test plan is going to be designed in JMeter, and how a performance test script can be designed easily with the help of JMeter tool, and basically that how this JMeter tool can be helpful in order to generating load and fulfilling the need of performance testing against the application. So we are going to learn about these things in detail as well. Again, the concept of data-driven testing, that how we can design a test plan in JMeter that is going to be a data-driven, basically different test data we can use in the test plan that we are going to learn, and a few other concepts of performance scripting like correlation, that how what correlation is actually, because when you're going to write a script you need to know about correlation, and once you understand that, then you need to know that how that can be done. Basically the correlation can be done with the help of tool JMeter. All right, so we are going to learn about correlation. Again, we will be learning the concept of database testing, that how database test plan can be designed in JMeter, and what are the benefit of having database testing. We will be covering database testing as well. And if you are aware about the REST APIs, then we will be exploring the options of creating a script in JMeter for the REST APIs for different methods, get, post, put, how to parameterize, or how to make your script data driven so that you can hit the API or the with different methods with different test data. So these things mainly we are going to cover throughout this course. But again, this is not just limited to these topics. There are different things as well that actually cannot be noted down here. So these are the things, key things actually we will be focusing on.
So, Amit, if you are talking about database testing, so suppose that as a front end, anyone had created test data, okay? So we used to go on the DB and we used to test it. So how it will we will test in that JMeter, like that is tool, right? Kind of user interface. So there we are providing some, we are writing some
Yeah.
script or query, or what is that?
No, actually, so as I told you that this JMeter is going to help out not to writing those complex script in order
No,
to
no.
hit
So
your test data,
query also
hit
not
your
on
database.
JMeter.
So let me quickly just summarize that what we are going to do with the help of this database testing, that how this database testing is done actually. Basically, we will be focusing on the response time or the query response time of the database. So we will be looking at the complex queries. We suspect that these queries are time taken. We take those queries, and with the help of JDBC sampler, which is available in JMeter, we are going to
Okay.
write those queries in that sampler, and we should be having the database details, like in order to access that database, like database URL, user and valid password, and we are going to execute those query directly against the database with the help of JDBC protocol. That's the simple approach. Is it fine?
Amit, it's fine. I got it. We would not write any query, but yeah, we will connect internally. That JDBC connectivity will be there with that JMeter, but we need to like find out, like we have to check it, right, whether that is query
Yeah.
is like performance.
Yeah, so just try to understand that we are going to evaluate the performance, right? So our focus is on the performance side, not on the writing scripts and getting in the details of writing fine details of scripting and maintaining those scripts. So if we are focusing on performance, why should not I will be having a clear thing where my script is easily organized, maintained, and we are ready to run our scripts so quickly. So that's kind of an interface, or basically IDE. It's a kind of IDE that we are going to have as a JMeter. That's going to help we out in that, in order to avoid those kind of efforts.
Got it, Amit.
Okay, so any APM monitoring tool going to use here? Actually, this is beyond this course. We are not going to include any APM tool. Any pre-requirement to learn JMeter? So it's good if you are already working as a tester. Basically, if you are working as an automation tester, that's quite good. If you are in manual, that's good as well. You can easily catch up the things. And again, I would like to add about that if you have some basic knowledge on Java, that's going to help you in order to create a kind of advanced level of scripting in JMeter with the help of some scripting language, with the help of some elements that are available like bin shell, the JSR223. So having a basic knowledge of Java can help you actually creating a good kind of test plan. But that's actually not much required for intermediate level of scripting.
Amit,
Yeah.
yeah, this course will be covering any anything about the bean shell scripting, because that is something I have noticed that is required while doing the performance testing using the JMeter. So how many sessions will be there for that, or that is not included in the course?
Okay, so bin shell scripting or JSR223 scripting will be there. There will be one session regarding that. So you will be getting all the details that how bin shell scripting can be used, about the variables, how variables behaves, how you can get and set variables, what are the methods available. So basically, you will be having a session on bin shell or JSR223 scripting. That's the part of this course.
Okay.
Hey Amit, Sabya this side.
Hey, hi, Sabya. Tell me.
Yeah, so would like to know about that bean shell scripting itself. In one session, would we be able to cover up all the details of bean shell scripting? Like, would we be
No,
able
actually,
to?
no. Yeah.
Okay,
All right. So basically, what my focus here is that I will try to give you a overview, basically a kind of orientation that what are the things available and how you can avail those things. Basically, how you can start interacting with the bin shell scripting or the JSR223 scripting. If you have a knowledge about Java, that will be easy to you to start interacting with bin shell scripting if I provide you a single session on bin shell.
got it. So Java is the prerequisite for it, right?
Obviously, because we are talking about scripting, so there are other options available, like there are languages, basically kind of interpreter languages available, like bin shell is there, the JavaScript is there, or basic Java is there. So if you know about the basic of Java, you can start interacting with bin shell or JSR223.
Got it.
So
So
Amit,
you would
no
be
Java would be fine. Like any, sorry, any like framework also, like Spring and all, something is required, XML and all. Our core Java
I
would be fine.
missed your question. Yeah, core
So
Java is
Amit,
fine.
core
Core Java will work.
Java, okay.
Yeah, core Java will work.
okay? Thanks, Amit.
Okay,
Thank you very
so
much.
yeah, just keep posting your questions or just have your questions, no problem. We are just moving to the topics that what actually JMeter is. So not to going into much detail that what JMeter is, I think you're well aware, but yeah, as a definition, JMeter is actually a tool that's kind of it's a pure Java based tool, which is a free tool, open source tool. So there will be no need to take the license, and it's a tool that helps you covering the performance testing, that helps you generating load, and that helps you achieving your performance testing node. So it's a kind of IDE that's help you creating a test plan for performance testing and running your performance test, basically executing your performance test. That helps you understanding the runtime behavior of your application, And there are different other options that are available in JMeter. So it's a kind of fully IDE that we use in order to do performance testing for most of the application. So again, this JMeter is capable of covering different protocols as well. But here we are going to deal with HTTP or HTTPS protocol in majority, and database testing is there. So we will be covering the JDBC protocol as well. But apart from that, if you understand the JMeter, you will be able to use the other protocols available if required, like TCP protocol is there, SFTP protocol is there, all right. SMTP, mail server protocol is there. Again, if you have to test different applications like Neo4j or any other application, so there are a lot of protocols supported. You can just use this tool in order to design your test plan for different applications as well. Okay, so we are going to focus on HTTP and HTTPS, but the concepts will be similar if you are going to use these tools for different protocol. That will not be a problem. And if we talk about why we need JMeter, what is the role of JMeter? So basically, we need JMeter in order to prepare our test plan for scripting, for execution, for script debugging, all right, for preparing our result. And actually it's going to act as a load generator or as a workload generator for our application. So this is a kind of uh, a major role of JMeter. And feature and benefits, so basically it's the good thing that it's a UI based. And in between, let me first install and download the JMeter. So what you need to do, simply type download JMeter. All right, and go to the official link, which is jmeter.apache.org. And since it's a Java-based application, you need not to worry about the platform. I mean, if you are using Mac operating system, that's fine. You should only be having Java running. If you're using Windows machine, that's fine. Java should only be running there. And if you are on Linux machine as well, this JMeter will work the similar way. So that's the good thing, that is it's a platform independent. Okay, getting notepad screen only. Is it? Just a minute. Let me know if it's reflecting, because currently I'm on jmeter.apache.org website. Okay, so here is the link. The latest version is 5.4.1, which requires Java 8 plus. So ensure you have Java 8 plus installed in your system. I'm not going to cover the details on installing Java. I believe you should be already having Java running in your system, but somehow if you're having difficulty or you do not have Java properly set up, you can connect me later. But just now I'm assuming that you already have Java running in your system. So here are the things that you need to download under binary section. For Windows platform, just go for .zip. If you're running on Mac or Linux, go for .tzz, right? So being on Windows system, I'm going to download this Apache JMeter 5.4.1.zip. Just click on it and it will start downloading. I have already downloaded that, and once you download, just move this folder. So you will be getting a folder like this, JMeter 5.4.1. Just extract that folder, and you can have this at any location you want. It can be at any place, all right? Once you extract that, just get into the folder, and inside bin, just double click the jmeter.bat on Windows. But again, if you are on Mac or on Linux system, you need to get to the path where this folder is, or where you have put this folder, and through the terminal, and inside bin, just execute this jmeter.sh. All right, and I believe you already know that how to just execute a file, which is an executable file. With the help of, you can just use /jmeter.sh. Being at the path under bin, you can just execute jmeter.sh for Mac and for Linux machines. On Windows, just double click on jmeter.bat. And you will be getting this UI. Basically, you should not be getting this this kind of UI, but you can change the look and feel by getting into the options menu, look and feel, and you can change it to as per the look and feel you just feel comfortable. Currently, it's a Windows that gives a kind of white this kind of theme. All right, so once you just open this JMeter, yeah, do I have any question?
Yeah, Amit. So after learning, suppose that we will complete this Apache JMeter. So is it possible in the resume we can put, okay, we have a 3 years of experience in JMeter performance testing?
How many? 3 years. I would say that it's up to you, but you can justify at least 2 years of experience if you just go through all the details, the materials that I provide you with all the practical concepts. It would be quite feasible to justify 2 years of experience. Anything else?
No, Amit, that's all.
All right, so yeah, so we were talking about features and benefits. So it's a UI based tool, and it's quite easy to quickly create a simple test plan using this JMeter tool. I will just show you that how you can simply create a simple and quick test plan with just on clicks. All right, so this is what the simplicity of using this tool, because it's going to be easy to you to learn. And one of the good thing that you not need to put your efforts in learning a scripting language first, and then scripting language knowledge to write your performance test plan, like we require in case of load runner or any other different tools. So that's the one of the major benefit that this tool can help you, and not to get into those details. All right, so if you talk about the installation portion, the only thing you need, as I mentioned, that's it's going to be a Java installed in your system. If you have Java, or basically JRE, runtime environment, properly set up, you just need to download the JMeter as I just downloaded, and get into your JMeter folder under bin folder, and just follow the process. You will be getting JMeter up and running here. All right, now let's move about the on the topic, what is performance testing actually. All right, so if we talk about definition, that's performance testing is actually a kind of non-functional testing. All right, so performance testing is a type of non-functional testing, and that's the reason we sometimes refer performance testing as a non-functional testing as well. We'll talk about the functional and non-functional as well. So if we talk about the performance testing, so what is performance testing? So it's a type of non-functional testing which is done to look at the responsiveness and stability of application under a particular workload. So this is a kind of definition that performance testing is done to evaluate or to look at the responsiveness and stability. So these are the two terms, responsiveness and stability, that we majorly focus for any application. for that performance testing is done. So we look at the responsiveness, that how responsiveness our application is, basically how performant our application is, how fast our application is, and how stable our application is. That we look at those two key aspects while doing performance testing, right? So this is what a kind of definition. So if we just explore that definition, we can say that if we have an application which is a kind of e-commerce application, let's take an example, then if we do performance testing for that e-commerce application, our objective should be looking at the responsiveness. So how we look at the responsiveness, how we can say that my application responsiveness is well or not well, or my application is stable or not stable. So those are the things we actually first need to understand. But these are the two concepts that we look for that e-commerce application. We generate some load against that application. Let's say if we talk about the login functionality, if there is an application, e-commerce application, and we want to look at the performance of the login of that application, so we should be generating some load. Basically, we will be hitting that login page with a multiple number of users, and we will be looking at the responsiveness, that if there are 100 users constantly hitting the login page, what is the response time of that page? It is going to uh, be affected with the number of users, and if it's going to be affected, how much it is going to be. It's going to be under 5 seconds, it's going to beyond 5 seconds, it's going to beyond 10 seconds. So how much it is degraded, right? So those kind of details we consider actually doing when doing performance testing. And obviously we look for the stability as well, which means we also look that if my application sustain or it's going to fail with say for example 100 number of users constantly hitting the login page, right? So these are the two actually things that we consider, but there are other characteristics. So these responsiveness and stability, right? So these are the two things we just talked about. These comes under performance characteristics. All right, so these two key characteristics we look at while doing performance testing. But apart from that, apart from this responsiveness and stability, there are other performance characteristics like number of users handled, request per second. So these are the other characteristics that we look, and these are called as performance characteristics. So basically, we look at responsiveness and stability of an application for a particular workload while doing performance testing. Okay, any other question? All right. If is there any question? Okay, I think we are good. So now let's move to the type of performance testing. So basically, we have for now, I can say there are 4 major types that we can define. One is the load testing. One is the stress testing. One is the endurance. And one I can say is the spike testing, right? So these are the key type of performance testing. And these kind of testing actually we do for different situations. So for say for endurance, as it type it has, it's kind of a long running test. It actually runs for around 8 hours or for 24 hours kind of things, right? Even more than that, we can run our performance test for around 2 days, 3 days kind of things, right? So such kind of performance testing, which is having a long duration, can be categorized under endurance testing. All right, regular load testing that we do in order to look at the regular performance of our application, while stress testing is done to find out the maximum or the peak load which can be supported by an application. All right, so stress testing is a kind of capacity finding testing that we do against any application. Okay, so I have a question that what is throughput? I will be covering that question soon. And again, we have a spike testing. That is, as its name has, it's a kind of irregular load that comes suddenly against the application, and that's kind of that generates a kind of huge spike on the system. So this is a kind of testing that is done to simulate that kind of behavior, that if there is a sudden load coming on the system, so how my system is going to behave, and what is the performance of the system when there is a sudden load coming to that application or coming to that system. So generating that kind of simulating that kind of behavior, or the kind of testing using hitting the application with that kind of load comes under the type of spike testing. Okay, so what is throughput? So actually throughput, in term of JMeter, if you, or in general, throughput is actually a kind of what we are hitting, basically what is my it's a kind of work done versus actually I'm not exactly able to define in terms of that terminology, that it's a kind of work done per unit time. It's a kind of thing. So in terms of JMeter, if you talk about the throughput, it's a kind of if you are generating some load against the application. So say you are generating a load of 100 requests per second. All right, if you are hitting the application with a load of 100 requests per second, all right, and that application is serving all the 100 requests per second and responding you with the rate, how much rate it's responding, that can be concluded as throughput. So you are sending 100 requests per second, your application is processing that request, and if application when application gives you the output back to you, that is referred as throughput. So in terms of request per second, if I send 100 requests per second and if I get a response of 100 requests per second, it's a 100 requests per second throughput. So throughput is a common word which can be attached to any unit. It's hits per second, right? It's a work done per unit time. Okay, and so there is a question that what type of performance defect detected can be detected by JMeter tool. So it's a kind of if you talk about the specific defect, that what kind of a problem in the application we can detect with the help of tool JMeter. So it's going to be a kind of capacity and load kind of issues. We can easily identify with the help of JMeter. Again, there are different scenarios we can simulate, like our application. We suspect the of the application, we can run a long running. You can create a long running scenario, and we can execute that scenario against the application. So it can help you identifying the stability of your application as well. So on that specific question, I would say that it's a tool which can help you in solving different kind of problem associated with the application, and we can modify the behavior of JMeter as per the requirement. If we find out the capacity, that the tool can help you finding out the capacity. So a defect can be related with the application capacity as well, that it's not actually a defect but it's a problem. About the stability, if we suspect some memory related problem, we can run a long running duration, so it's a kind of leak, memory leak suspected issues, um, also can be detected with the help of that tool. So this is going to be help you out in much different situations. It's up to you that how you can modify the tool and you can use as per the requirement. Okay, so I think we are almost done with the type of performance testing. Now if we talk about the performance versus functional testing. All right, so anyone would like to have just answer about this, performance versus functional testing? What we look at the functional aspect, what we look at the performance aspect, and what actually is not done in functional and what actually is done in performance. So that kind of ideas.
As per my understanding, functional testing would be whatever UI testing we are doing, that will come to the functional testing. Performance, like we are checking how much time is taking, what is the duration, how we can
Yeah, almost such kind of details. But functional is not just a UI, because we validate the things end to end, right? In functional,
okay, it
so
will
let me talk about the function.
means front end as well as
Yeah,
back
please go ahead.
end. So it will include DB testing, including front end, back end, all will come in the functional. So
Yeah,
Amit,
exactly. So let me
Amit, in short, hello. In short, testing the whole functionality of the
yes, go
application
ahead.
comes. In short, testing the whole functionality of the application comes under the functional testing. So
Yeah,
be it your logic,
yes.
whether it's related to UI or it's related to DB or it's related to like any kind of web services kind of testing would also come into this functional testing. So these are the things which we can include. Functional testing have different kind of parts
Yes,
which we can
exactly.
discuss.
All right.
Okay.
Yes, exactly. Right. So that's a good points you guys have added. All right. So let me add a few other things. All right. Basically, in functional testing, as you guys have mentioned, that we look at the logic and all those details. So what actually is that any application have different functionalities. Like we have search functionality, which means if we type something in search box and hit the search icon, we should be having the results back to our screen, the as related things that we have searched for. That fulfills the search functionality. Again, it's there is another functionality which is add to bag, which means that if I click any item add to bag, the functionality ensures that that item should be added into my bag, right? This is what a functional behavior of the application is, and this is what the functionality which should be fulfilled. And if that functionality is being fulfilled for search or for add to bag, and if you talk about the login as well, if I provide the all valid use cases for login, like valid username and password, I should be successfully logged into my application. These are the examples, right? So that fulfills the functional aspects. But when we talk about the performance, which is also called non-functional, non-functional testing, and in non-functional testing, or basically in performance testing, we look for non-functional aspects or non-functional characteristics. Okay, so we look for non-functional aspects. Here in functional testing, we were looking for functional aspects. So functional aspects means if my search functionality is for searching product, that's working, that's fulfill the functionality. My add to bag is for adding product to bag. If that's working, that's fulfill the functionality, and that completes the functional aspect. But under non-functional aspects, there are different things that we look for, that the few other things that I've already mentioned here. Responsiveness. Okay, so this is one of the non-functional aspect or non-functional characteristic that we look, because if I say that just to validate the search functionality, right? So being a tester, being as a tester, I include as well. So being a tester, what I would do, I will just type for jeans, right? And I will hit enter, and after just spinning the timer, I got my results back after 5 seconds, right? Or let's say after 10 seconds. I worry about a bit about 10 seconds, but on functional aspects, it's not, it doesn't matter to me that the result has taken 10 seconds of time, right? Because if we talk about the functionality, my genes has some results and my functionality is working well. But non-functional aspects, responsiveness, if we consider this, 10 seconds might not be acceptable. All right. So here is the clear actually difference between functional and non-functional. For functionality wise, my genes results are coming back to me, that's fine, but that's coming under 10 seconds of time, which is not something good when we talk about non-functional aspects in terms of responsiveness. All right. Again, if we talk about the login functionality, I tested my login functionality 100 times. All right, with single user, basically one user is going, hitting the login page, putting username and password, and then logging out. And I have repeated that process 100 times, not 100 items. Okay, 100 times, and I got 100 success results. So basically all 100 times my login was successful. But if we have to perform the login functionality with a non-functional aspect, so what we will be doing, we will be hitting 100 concurrent users or 100 parallel users. What this means that we are just trying to log in with the way into the application simultaneously with 100 different user IDs, all right, at a single moment. And at that point of time, we are looking at the aspect of number of users handled. And this is going to be a non-functional characteristics or non-functional aspect. So that might be a situation that if we hit with 100 concurrent user, or try to log in into the application with 100 users, and I repeat this process 100 times, I might not be getting 100% successful response, or basically 100% 100% success. There might be a error with some users, and I can say that there should be some error margin, right? So we should be looking at those details, that how many number of users can be handled simultaneously while looking at the non-functional aspects for the login functionality. All right. So there are other aspects that we look under non-functional testing, and this differentiates that thing from the functional testing or from the functional aspects. Okay. Just a minute. So there is a question that what is the difference between load and performance testing? So basically, load testing is a part of performance testing, and there are different other testing that we do under a performance testing types. So load testing is stress testing, endurance testing is a kind of performance testing. These are the types of performance testing.
Hey, hello, Amit.
Yeah.
Just a question. Apart from the open source, what are the advantages of JMeter compared to other performance testing tools in the market?
Okay. So being open source, that the first and the most advantage is that you need not to pay any license cost, which is a good advantage. Again, it's a platform independent, so you can run this JMeter application on any platform, which is not the case for all other tools. Basically, if you take some other tool example that is strict to some platform specific. So it's a pure Java based tool you can run on any other platform. Again, it's easy to learn because it's a UI based tool, so it will be easy to learn these tools, this JMeter tool for you. And being UI, it's a kind of drag and drop kind of things. Most of the things are available on just your mouse clicks. So it's a good thing to start for the persons who is not actually expert in scripting areas or in programming languages areas.
Okay, thank you, Amit. Will you be showing us the framework for the performance testing when the classes starts?
So basically, yeah, we will be creating a kind of a standard performance test plan, and we will be creating it's not a kind of framework, I would say, because um, this JMeter tool is quite easy enough to build a different kind of test plan. So I will make you and I will just show you that there are different kind of scenarios, different kind of workload you can generate with the help of this tool.
Okay.
Amit. Hello.
Okay, so can we just have your question, please.
Yeah, I'm just thinking like because with the other enterprise tools, they might have all those reporting and all, right? So with this JMeter, has any inbuilt reporting tool or any feature is there, or is it like we need to maybe plug in with any other tool to show any reports for like, for example, like your test results or whatever, like we would want to.
Okay, so yeah, JMeter has their inbuilt reporting options. So there is a HTML tool, HTML report generator, which can generate you a good HTML report. There are different lot of graphs available, like
Okay.
number of users related graphs, response time related graphs, different response code related graphs, throughput,
Okay.
and all those details. So a lot of things are available as a part of reporting under JMeter. So only thing you
Okay.
need to just to do as a kind of just collect those things and put into a document, or
Okay.
you can just generate a HTML report as well.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Amit.
Amit,
All
Anurag this
right,
side.
so let's move to
Uh,
the
am I audible?
yeah, Anurag.
Yeah, just a quick question.
Yes.
Just wanted to know, like we have Jenkins, and we basically can schedule the test to run on the specific time, right? Is it ever possible in JMeter, can we do scheduling kind of stuff? Is it ever possible with support of any other tool?
You can do that with the help of Jenkins as well. So what you can do, you can have your script in place, JMeter in place, all thing in place, and you can just schedule a job that will hit the JMeter script, and whatever you have just added in your script will get executed. All right,
Okay.
again, you can just schedule your test plan with the JMeter feature as well. So there is a scheduler as well. You can just schedule that as per the time, and you can just start your execution, and whatever time you have put on that time, your execution will actually be starting.
Okay.
So there are
Okay, got it.
options
Thanks.
for
Yeah.
scheduling. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so let's quickly create a test plan, that how we can easily create a test plan. Though this test plan is not going to be a standard test plan, but this is just to demonstrate that what are the things required and what are the things we need to add in order to create a test plan, or basically a performance test plan. So just assume, I'll take an example of this page, which is a wiki main page, and we are going to hit this page. Create a performance test plan for this page, that how we can create a test plan for this application, this page. And there are a lot of things I have to cover in order to start the actual creating a test plan, because you need to first understand the flow, the application behavior, and what are the steps that you need to add in your test plan. So being a demonstration, it's quite not possible to cover all the aspects, all right, but I do agree that there are a lot of things I missed, and basically yeah, that's a thing that cannot be covered, all right. So just assume that we have an application which is a Wikipedia application, and for this page only we are going to create a test plan. But in reality, or in actual, a test plan should be having a sequence of different pages which should be covering an objective, like for an application which is an e-commerce, for testing end to end, we should be having a key pages like launch the page, and then launch the application, and then log into the application, and then searching for a product, and then adding that product into the bag, and then going for checkout, and then placing order, then finally putting some payment details, and then placing order. All right. So that kind of a test plan we should be creating in upcoming sessions. That will be an end-to-end performance test plan. But for now, just have this a single page into our test plan. Right. So I have just copied this URL, and if I get back here, creating a quick test plan, or basically designing a test plan, there are two approaches. One is the manual design, that I'm going to just demonstrate you that how you can manually design a page, or design a performance test plan, not the page. But when we have a series of pages, multiple pages, or basically a flow to cover, like from launch to place order, then designing a test plan manually would be a lot of effort, and there would be highest possibilities of errors, and you might be having a broken test plan which will not be fully working. So to overcome those situations, we have some inbuilt options of recording a test plan. So JMeter tool has their inbuilt script recording option. Again, there are additional plugins, or there are additional things we can integrate in JMeter to record our script. Like we have Selenium recorder kind of things, that we can add a plugin in our Firefox, and then we start navigating the pages, and that plugin would start capturing the steps, and that will finally convert that into a Selenium script. So that kind of thing we have for different browsers, that is considered as a recording tool, and there is an inbuilt option as well. So for now, we are going to design a test plan using manual approach. So what can be done? So here is the simple UI. When you launch this JMeter, you will be getting this UI. So it's a kind of tool that provides you nothing as a test plan. So here's a test plan, but we do not have anything here. And here is a separate section. So basically, in left side, we will be having our elements. So what elements are? Basically, we have different elements under this JMeter, and we will be adding those elements inside this test plan. And the actually collection of those elements we will be finally calling that as a performance test plan. So what are the elements we need in order to hit this page? So if you have to hit this page, what are the things we need to add inside JMeter? We should be a bit aware of. First, we need to add first right click on test plan, add threads or users, and here is a element called thread group. So this is the first the main element that you need to add, which is a thread group. And this thread groups provides you the number of users or virtual users, or we say that as a threads in term of JMeter. So just a minute. So these elements we're providing the number of users, that for how many users you are going to hit this page, with how many users. So for now, I'm just taking this as a 1. There are different other options, ramp up, loop count, and there is a scheduler kind of thing that we can add. But for now, let's just skip those options and just go with the default options here with one thread. So this thread, this number of users or threads is going to be a single user, but we need to add another element in order to access this page. So what other element I need? It's going to be a sampler, and the sampler is going to be a type of sampler for the type of application we are going to access. Okay, so in my case, I have this web application which is running on protocol HTTPS. So I need to add a sampler of type HTTP request. If I were having a different application, like if I have to test TCP sampler, it's a TCP application, I need to add this TCP sampler. Okay, if I have to test the mail server, then I need to add this SMTP sampler. Again, there are different samplers available. If I have to test my database, then I need to add this JDBC request. But I need to have to test my application which is running on protocol HTTP and HTTPS. I need to add this HTTP request under this sampler section. So just click on it, and now I have different options like what protocol, HTTP or HTTPS. So here is the URL. The protocol is going to be HTTPS. Just put it here, okay, and skip those slashes. This is going to be this one, just copy it. This is going to be under server name and IP. Just put it here. So this is going to be the server name and IP. And the path section, this wiki/main page should come under the path section. So this is the path for this server with this protocol I'm going to hit with one thread, with one user. Okay. All right, so these are the two things I have added under this test plan. By right clicking, I first added thread group, and then on thread group right clicking, I added a sampler of type HTTP request. I can rename it as well. I can put it any other name I want, just right here. So it is good to put it like wiki main page. So what I can do, I can just copy and paste main page wiki, something like that. So once you just click out somewhere, it will get renamed. All right. So thread group, HTTP request. And in order to look at the result of this page, that what time it has taken and other detail, I need to add a listener. So this listener is going to help us understanding the details of this page. And for now, I'm going to add a listener which is called view results tree. There are different type of listeners available, like summary report, aggregate report. We will get to know about these listeners, and we will be looking at the details that in what situation what type of listeners we should be using, and having different listeners, what different type of data we can look. So for this, I have added a view results tree listener that is going to provide me the details of this wiki page. Let's look at the this. Okay, so there is a question that this is a front-end testing, right? We are going to hit the application from front end itself, but it's not going to be actually front-end testing. So the reason why I'm not saying it's a front-end testing, because if you just hit this URL, and if I just open the developer tool here, just going to dock it at the bottom. All right, so here are the network resource. Okay, so network is here. And if we reload it page,
Amit, I think the screen is
okay, so
lagging.
hitting a single page, is it for everyone?
Yes, Amit.
Yes,
It's
Amit.
not syncing.
Just allow me a minute.
It was happening from last couple of
Yeah.
minutes.
Yeah.
I'm just checking.
Your audio is very clear, but when it comes to the sharing,
Screen.
yeah, it is a lot of delays happening.
Okay, just a minute.
Initially, I thought
I'm
it's
just
only
trying.
for me.
Okay, I'm just trying to switch my network. Just allow me a minute. But in most of the situation, I found that the audio and screen goes both at a time. So if it's audio is clear, I suspect that there should be some other problem. But well, just let me just update it. Okay, so I believe it should not be. It should now be reflecting. I'm currently at my Chrome browser with the developer tools open.
Yes, Amit.
Okay, so here I just hit this URL. All right, so single URL, I just hit it, and in return we got the 29 requests here, right? If you just notice here, all right. So what this browser actually does, or any browser does, it parsed the main page. It's a document page, all right. It look at the response, and it look at the links available under the response, and it continue making connections to the resources available, like PNG, JPG, all right, different JavaScripts, different images, different fonts, all right. And in result, we get around 29 requests, or basically a response of 29 requests, right? But this is not the actual behavior of JMeter. Once you hit this URL in JMeter, it's going to read the response of the very first page only. It's not going to parse the response. It's not going to make subsequent calls to the links available under the response, because JMeter is not actually a browser and it's not able to parse JavaScripts or CSS. It's not able to actually include the JavaScript, and it's not going to apply that JavaScript on the page. On the other hand, there are options that you can fetch the subsequent calls. You can fetch the inline calls that we refer, like PNG or the JPEG or the fonts, or you can fetch the JavaScripts and CSS as well. But those are not going to be applicable like in browser here that happens. So in browser, what happens, like my JavaScript is going to be parsed and contents are going to be updated as per the JavaScript. Contents are going to be updated as per the CSS. My pages are going to be rendered, painted, and all those activity happens inside the browser, which is not going to happen inside this JMeter. It's just going to hit that page and taking the response back. So if you hit this page, you are not going to get a response of around 3 seconds, or the load DOM content loaded of around 2 seconds, but you are just going to get the response time of this main page only, which should be somewhere around 1 point something second. All right, so this is what the difference, because when dealing with the UI, we should be considering all the factors important for the user aspects or for the user end. While dealing at the backend side, you are just looking at the response of the first page, or basically the processing power or the processing of your backend server, that how your backend server is going to process the page, not the browser, that how browser is going to render that page. Is it clear?
We are checking the if you're talking about the performance testing, so just we are checking how many users are accessing our application and how much duration it has taken, right? That is our motive,
Yes.
to check the performance testing. But so that particular URL, whatever we are testing, that with the help of that only we are testing, right? So that will come, that's what my concern, like whether we will do the front end testing. Back end, if you're talking about the back end, that is API we were doing, right? So that is different. But here you are, anyway you are testing the, like suppose that we have any application, so for that we are doing the testing, right? So that will be the front end only if we have a UI, right?
Yeah, I got your point, but yeah, so there are different ways of taking the performance of your application. On your point, you are right that we are hitting the front end URL, but there are other ways of doing that. So take an example. If I have an application which allows me an option to log in. So here let's say we have option to log in. All right, so what happens when we click login and provide username and password? So from front end we are putting username and password, but what is happening behind API? If that application is a micro service, or the that's use the API behind the scene, so
Yeah,
API
yeah.
is eventually going to trigger, right?
Yes, it
And
will get.
there should be let me complete. So there should be a minor difference you will be noticing, that on the response time of providing basically at this end of that URL, and the API is eventually returning. So there should be a minor difference you will be getting. But in the case where we are not dealing with the API, we should be considering the performance through the URL only, right? But obviously, if we have a micro label of the front end, like we have APIs, separated APIs for each and every functionality, we should be going that way. That's the best approach of doing performance testing for backend. All right.
So my concern is that suppose that if we are using microservices, so for each application we have a different war file, right? So each will be deployed differently. Each application have a like curl, right? So that particular curl we will test in the this JMeter. So we'll get to okay, this is the performance, how much time it has taken, how much user has accessed our application, so we can check it. But if you're talking about the front end, so here we are checking the front end only. Internally it will call to the back end, like any microservices it's if integrated with that, that will call it. So that will different things, right? Still actually my concept is not clear about the front end, because by seeing I can identify it's okay, it's front end testing only we are doing.
No, actually, because there are other ways of doing front end testing. So if you aware about the load runner option of providing the UI testing, so
I don't know
there is a different
all.
protocol that
Hmm.
with that tool, what we can do if we hit this URL, so all the details that we are getting here, all the response time, DOM content loaded, or the load time, and all the things are getting rendered that way in that tool. Okay, so that's a pure UI based testing, and that's a different areas of doing performance testing, which is a pure UI based testing. But if we talk about JMeter, so if you say that I'm going to use JMeter as a performance testing, so it's a clear thing that you are not going to deal with the UI related things. All right, you might need some other resources on this topic, so that you should be having a clear picture that when we talk about UI, what are the things we consider. But here, where we are dealing the things in terms of JMeter, we cannot say that it's a UI testing.
So just one thing, Amit. So you mean like in JMeter only it is purely based out of backend, like there is no such UI thing which we are checking here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so here's the URL, and if I need to know the basically we are just going to create a test plan for this URL. And what I have done, basically I have added the protocol and the server name and IP, and here is the path that I have added, and I have added a listener view results tree. If I just click this button, what will happen, one thread will start and will hit this page, and this listener will collect the data of this page. Okay, so let's see in action that what happens when I click this start button. So my test plan is not saved yet, so it will be asking me to save this test plan. You can just save it, and you can just say no. So you will be running this test, but your test plan will not be saved. I just say no. Okay, and now we got the response of this wiki page. Okay, and as I told you that the default behavior of JMeter is going to not to include all the inline pages like 28, 29 requests, JavaScripts, and all those CSS, and it's only fetching the main page response time. So this is these are what the details we are getting here. If you look at there are three different tabs. If I click on this wiki main page here, under this view results tree, and a quick introduction about this. Here on the right hand side, if I click on any element on the left hand side, I get the related details. So here on thread group, I get the related details of this thread group. On wiki page, if I click here, I get the related details. And similar way, if I click on view results tree, I get the details of this view results tree. And this shows the result of the execution that we have just done here. So here are the details, like what was the connect time, what was the latency, what was the size in bytes. So basically it's the size we just got under response from that page. What was the header size, what was the byte size in body, and what was the response code, what was the response message. So it was basically a 200 OK response. So it's a summary. Under request section, you can get the related details, that what method you hit, what protocol, what was the actual URL. and there was no such other data like cookies and other details, headers, and all those. So under body, sorry for that. So under body, you get the body related details. If it's a post method, you will get the body, what body you are sending. But under header section, there are default few headers being added by this JMeter, like user agent, host, and connection. So user agent is the default user agent of Apache JMeter, which is Apache HTTP client 4. Something. And on top, under response data, we have two different subsection of this response data, response body and this response header. So these are the response headers set by the application that we are getting those details here. And under response body, we have the similar data that we should be having here under the reload of this, under this main page response. All right, so this is what the data we are getting here. Okay, so this is how JMeter works. And for my
Amit, one question.
application, if I have to find out the just a minute. And here we have different options as well. Like under view results tree, you can change the view. Under here we have a drop down like text. Under HTML source formatted, under HTML downloaded resource. So if you look at the HTML source formatted, right? So if you just click here, and let me change the other one like HTML. Okay, so if you just change the view to HTML, you will get a similar kind of formatted about under HTML kind of formatting, that this is how this page looks like actually. All right, and this is the similar page. Okay, since it does not include the JavaScript and CSS, so this is how this page looks like. But this actually gives us a kind of overview that what this page is actually. Yeah, please. I was having a question. Please go ahead.
Yeah, so I was asking, the first thing that we check is sampler result. So the response which we are getting for checking that, can we refer to sampler result or we need to go to response data to get the whole response? Because this is also kind of response only, right? In this like status code and all everything.
Yeah. So these are kind of response, and basically when we are running with a high number of users, we cannot get into each and every samplers and looking at the results. What are the data we are getting? So there are different other things like assertions. You might be aware of the Selenium script as well. We put some assertions to look at the validation kind of thing. So if we get some valid response, we should be having some valid words there. So we can put some assertions kind of thing, and then we can run our test. And if that thing is not included in our response, that sampler will be marked as failure. So we can put some different criterias, right?
Okay.
Amit, what is this course duration for this entire JMeter course duration?
So it's going to be 8 to 10 days. It's going to be weekend only, Saturday and Sunday, and each day it will be around 90 minutes.
Sure, 8 to 10 days. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so running a performance test. So this is not going to be actual a performance test. I have just created a test plan, which looks like a performance test plan, but that's include a single page, and we have not much details here. But what I can do for you for now, I can just iterate this. Let's say you want to iterate this page 10 times in order to look at the 10 different samples, or just to ensure the consistency of the response time, or just to validate this page 10 times. So under thread group, you can put a loop count of 10, and then getting back to the view results tree. If you want to keep this previous result, just run it. But if you want to clear the previous data, let me change it back to text. You can just use these two buttons, clear or the clear all. All right, so clear will clear the selected selected elements data and clear all. If there are other listeners, we'll clear all the listeners data. So you can use any clear or clear all. Okay, so if I now run it, I have just put a iteration of 10. So simply it's going to iterate it 10 times. All right, and here it's going to be basically 10 iterations, and there are a lot other details to learn about. If you look at the connect time for the first sampler, there is a connect time
So Amit,
of around 2.4 seconds. Go ahead.
so it is iterating the page in parallel or in sequential way?
It's in sequential way because there is a one thread. So what we are doing here, I just instructed this user or thread that do this 10 times. Being alone, how this can be in parallel. So what it does actually, it's hit this page. Once it completes, it's again hit that page and once complete. So it's a kind of sequential, right? We can make it parallel by providing different number of threads or users here. So that's we called concurrency or the parallel number of threads hitting the page. We can put it 2, and then we can put it either 10 iteration or a 5 iteration. So you can put it 10 as well. So now if you just run it, so what now will happen, 2 threads hitting parallelly 10 times. All right, so it's a kind of different use case here. Now we are hitting that page with 2 different users hitting parallelly.
Okay.
Is it clear?
Yes.
Okay, so we have we are actually covering questions and answers from very beginning, but still we have any other questions, we can just cover those. But on the topics, these are the key things that I just tried to cover. But as we mentioned, that there are a lot of the things to just cover, and those are actually not feasible in a single demo session, right? So have your questions if you have any, or you can just reach out with your questions later through the email.
Just
Okay.
one question.
Yeah, that's
latency.
yeah.
What exactly this latency? Actually, I searched. It was showing like some total round trip time. So if you can tell.
Yeah, obviously. So if we talk about this latency, which is let me take this one. All right. Better take this one. All right. Okay. So here we have a latency of 361. All right, and the load time is 588. So what latency is, so what actually happens, this tool JMeter opens a connection, okay, and then if I try to draw something that will be easy for you, because I am not, so okay, so this is going to be my server, okay, just assume it, this is going to be my client, this is JMeter. Is it fine not to write JMeter here and server? Okay, just relay this. This is my server on right hand side, and this is the client. Okay, so here my JMeter client send the request to the server. Okay, so here is the request. My server process that request. Okay, just give me a minute. Okay, my server process that request, and once processing completes, it's send the response back to JMeter. Okay, so this is what the simple thing goes, right? So the moment it is started sending the request, it starts the timer, okay, and the timer goes from here to here till processing, okay, and the moment it receives the response, so my response size here is of around body size in bytes, which is 79517 bytes, which I can say around 79 KB, right? Let's say it's a 79 KB of response that my JMeter has to receive and this server has to send. But those 79 KB of response cannot be sent in a one shot, because there are some restriction that we cannot receive or send that 79 kb in a single shot. That's the reason that 79 kb of response gets distributed into chunks. All right, so those response are get distributed into chunks, and the moment we get the first response bytes at the end of JMeter, that time is included as latency. Okay, so latency is the time where we get the first response byte, and the moment we get all the responses received at JMeter, that's included as load time.
Okay. One by one, when we get these chunks, it gets received. That is latency, and overall, this is called load time.
Basically, the first bytes we get is the marked as the latency time, right? So this means that we have a latency time of around 361 and the total load time of around 600. So this means I can say that there is a 150 millisecond difference roughly. All right, so this means that in order to receive all the remaining chunks, it took around 150 milliseconds.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, any other questions? All right, so I think if we are good on the questions, or if you have some questions left, you can reach out on email. Okay, and for now we have just mentioned all these mentioned topics, and we talk about the course content. And this is going to be this batch is going to be start from the coming Saturday 10 a.m. IST.
So will you be sharing,
if your enrollment is pending,
Amit, will you be sharing any of these key points and all, whatever, like PPT or some document or something related to this course?
Basically, the way I provide training is it's kind of it's a practical kind of thing. So I just follow the same process that I have just done here. The recording will be available to you, but on PPT materials, I actually do not prepare such PPT materials. But there are a few dummy applications providing you, but not we have in order to complete our practice. So a few things I will do the PPT related stuff.
Sure.
Okay, so you guys will be having a mail from about the further details of joining this course and fee related, all those details, right? Any other questions, you can just drop a mail to me.
Amit, where
okay,
we can see that
and with
recording?
that, I will be just closing this session.
Hello, Amit.
You will get this recording link in your email. All right, so be an email sending to all of you guys with a recording link.
Okay. Thank you.
Am I audible?
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so thank you guys, thank you all for joining. Okay, bye.
Bye.